Joe, I ever tell you about my uncle who was 65 and started start walking 3 miles every day?
No.
He's now 70.
Wow.
We have no fucking idea where he is. We have no idea. See, he started walking 3 miles a day, and now 5 years later, we have no idea where he is.
Why didn't you check on the second day?
Okay. Did I tell you about the two thieves who stole the priceless calendar?
No.
Yeah, they both got 6 months. They both got 6 months.
In prison?
Hey, this is Jacques.
This is Joe.
And welcome to Carnival Personnel.
You know, usually we start these episodes with what some would classify as jokes. This was not one of them.
Joe, we're having a rough week.
This is a rough week. Day, whatever, half hour.
Day.
We'll get into that.
Right. But today was one of those days where I'm working on the rundown. I said notes to myself throughout the week. Joe and I talked. We both like the same thing on Twitter. I'll put it on a list. And I sent it to you around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. It's send, and no kidding aside, completely outdated in the nanosecond for me to hit send and for it to be in your inbox, completely outdated.
Life moves too fast nowadays.
Which we'll get to. We'll start off with fat shaming. It's been a rough week. The kids are always making excuses. Always if I got paid per excuse, I'd be a rich man. I'm down a pound. I didn't get to skate this week. Actually, I was just talking to Taylor, and he's like, I didn't get my Thursday video because I make a video every Thursday from the rink. But school vacation, all the little fucks.
Monopolize the ice. Oh, I thought, okay.
Yeah, same thing like that.
Nah.
The ice isn't there. So, well, it's still there. They didn't move the rink, but, too crowded. And so, no. But moving on from that.
There are other things besides skating that you could do.
Oh, no, I did the boxing. I still
okay.
did the box. But the boys are home, so it's like I can't go to the gym and stuff like that. I can only go to when they do the boxing, do the heavy bag and stuff like that. Leave my ex-wife out of this.
I can't fairly fat shame you. I'm skinny fat myself. I'm a svelte 175-ish, 180, 190. Kill me and then just take my body. But I do no exercise. You're 1,000 times more active than I am.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
But I also eat a lot of crap.
I eat a lot of crap. Well, okay. I eat only crap. That's my problem.
Yeah.
I don't eat crap throughout the day. I eat, crap in the morning. And then I have a sensible gap, and then I eat more crap, and then sometimes I'll skip dinner because I'm lazy and I don't make myself dinner.
Yeah, but then I'll realize I didn't eat dinner. I'm not really hungry, but I'm watching TV at 1 a.m. Why not eat a whole pizza?
Where'd you get the pizza, man?
Frozen.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they got these new things.
Well, that's the thing about living with somebody who has a food allergy that, literally... My wife is allergic to soy, which is literally in every processed food, which is great because we don't get to eat processed foods. It's not like she can't, it's not like kryptonite where she sees a frozen pizza in the freezer that, she'll melt or turn to stone or whatever, but it discourages us from purchasing it and it frees up freezer space for other things. So I don't have that luxury. But I do enjoy noshing on the snacks that you leave behind for every podcast.
You're welcome.
So you do feed me throughout the week periodically, but thank you for that. And back to regularly scheduled babbling.
So a little bit of a sad passing. We had another passing. We're old, so some of our heroes are just dying off, Joe. It's just the way it is.
And it just hits you, like everything. I mean, every death is sudden, and I think this one was actually probably less sudden. It was, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of like, hey, I haven't heard from this person in a while, or hasn't, I heard he wasn't doing so well to begin with. And it was, finally his time to go. Peter Tork of the Monkees died at 77 of cancer.
Yeah, he had some kind of rare cancer he's been battling for 10 years. He didn't go on their tour last summer, but he did do their Christmas album last year.
Yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised because I'm a huge Monkee fan. I know some people might be thinking I'm joking because I'm a big punk, guy and stuff like that. But no,
the Monkees were punk.
They were for their time. They were one of my first loves, and I was pleasantly surprised that you are a big Monkee guy.
Absolutely. They showed the Monkees reruns on Channel 56 in Boston in the 80s, and our friend Jim and I would watch it religiously. We loved the Monkees. Loved it, the Monkees. We watched it nonstop. I actually have Monkees DVDs unofficially, but I have all their episodes. I haven't watched those in a while. And then recently I did see that one channel, like IFC, I think, has been re-airing Monkees episodes like Saturday mornings along with Batman. Like, do you know that IFC is airing the Batman, 66 Batman on Saturday mornings? So I've been rewatching that, and they still hold up in my heart.
No, and it's great. It's funny. It turns out they're one of the bigger selling acts of the 60s.
They were humongous.
Like 75 million albums sold in the 60s. I think like not two, but they're like three or four biggest act of the whole decade.
Yeah.
Behind the Beatles. And my first, I forget exactly where it was. It was down by the Cape. It was a smaller, like 2,000 seat venue, like a round stage. It slowly turned. I saw the Monkees there, and I saw him at the old what is it? I'm blanking out. What was Foxborough? No, what was Foxborough?
Sullivan Stadium.
Sullivan Stadium for their reunion tour
in
'86.
Yeah, I remember that. Weird Al opened for them on that tour.
So I've seen Weird Al then.
Maybe. I don't know if he made it. I don't know if he did the entire tour, but he had opened for them in one venue at least. I remember seeing. I don't know if it was three of the Monkees. And Davy Jones was still alive, but I think they. At least Mike Nesmith and Mickey Dolenz went touring in the 90s, and they did a concert, a free concert at Boston City Hall Plaza, and I went with our friend Steve and maybe Jim, I don't remember, but it was mid to late 90s, and it was raining that day. And you know what? Maybe Davy Jones was on that tour. Maybe, I don't know, Peter, I don't remember Peter being on the tour for some reason. But I saw them that one time. That's my brush with Monkees.
I loved them. Same, all through the early 80s, watching them on 56. And then you get older, it's like, and you find out, it's like, or you watch it when you're older and you realize, some of the people who were on the show, it was almost like Batman, the original Batman with Adam West. How many huge actors would stop by the show?
Honestly, I can't remember a one. And
then also big directors, and big music people. It became, kind of one of those things where people wanted in. And it was it A Hard Day's Night that they were trying to basically like do
emulate
an American version of that?
I think so. Yeah.
And did you ever see their movie Head?
No. I'd actually. Maybe I'd seen like one scene, but it is one of those weird, trippy, avant-garde kind of movies that Jack Nicholson apparently had a hand in.
Right, he was young Jack. It's funny. It's one of those things where the time between the show ending and Head coming out was only like 18 months, but the band it was completely different. So you had a lot of these people wanting to see the TV version of the Monkees in a movie. And it's like when you had Britney Spears go from being on Disney to Hit Me One More Time, or when
or like
Hannah
Montana became Miley Cyrus.
It's like 18 months later after Hannah Montana, and it was a family-friendly show, and now she's went through that stage.
Right, then all of a sudden the Monkees are counterculture.
Right.
And it's odd, and it was bizarre. And I heard in the Gilbert Gottfried podcast talking about the movie Head that they named it Head because they thought the movie was going to be a hit, and they figured that the next follow-up could be advertised with a tagline from the people who gave you head. From the people who gave you head.
Was I writing the tagline?
No, I was delivering the joke. That's why it sounds so.
It just sounds like something I'd say.
Yeah, that's the disjointed cadence. But yeah, so Peter Tork, rest in peace. He was the quiet Monkee. He was the nice guy.
He was the Ringo. He was the lovable loser. He was a dumb one.
But Ringo was funny and snarky, and Peter was always sort of being, at least on the TV show, of course, which is where we know him, all those characters from. He was always the one being seen as like the mark, the dupe.
Yeah.
You know, he would be targeted by some untoward maybe producers or scam artists, and they'd get him to like, you know, join a circus or become part of some sort of magician's act or something weird. And I think there was one episode where he was hypnotized and he would walk around in a trance and he would like follow. He was almost like Manchurian Candidate. I don't think he was.
We'll get to that.
I don't think it was a plot to kill Davy Jones, but yeah, we'll. You know, I don't know if we can. Maybe we'll do a monkey side show because.
Yeah,
and maybe we can, you know, resurrect the corpse of Jim. And
that would be great.
Join us on the podcast.
Maybe we can get Steve if he's seen them. Maybe, you know.
Oh God, yeah,
we can get a whole FE cast.
Get the band back together. What a mission from God.
Yeah, no. So it's funny because let's do a monkey side show. We talked this week. How have we not done a Chris Farley side show?
Oh, you're talking about like as far as sideshows?
Yeah.
Is it because on Twitter it was last week was his birthday?
Yeah, and there was one clip when he was on Letterman, and I sent it to you, and I'm like, how haven't we done something? We love that guy.
Yeah, there was a great intro that he did.
Remember when you were on the Beatles?
That was awesome. Idiot. Stupid. No, you're doing very good. Really? Oh, yes, you're doing very good questions. Nah. I love Chris Farley. We will do a sideshow of Chris Farley, but we're talking about Peter Tork. He's already being forgotten, overshadowed by his death is being overshadowed by Chris Farley's missed birthday.
And he died 20 years ago?
Yeah,
something crazy like that. All right, so let's move on to happier times, Joe.
Yeah.
Pressure Luck coming back. This literally has to be this is your 6 Super Bowls.
For those of you who don't know, Press Your Luck was a game show in the 80s where you had 3 contestants trying to avoid hitting the whammy on this big, gigantic game board that would have flashing lights and changing squares that displayed different dollar amounts and prizes. But of course, if you hit the dreaded whammy, you lose everything and have to start over with the remaining spins that you accrued during the front game. Press Your Luck, man, that was a great. Talk about a brainless show, and there is strategy involved as far as how to play the game. But as far as like playing along at home, you're only watching it for the drama. You're only watching it to see like how much money can these people win. And back then, and I think you saw that Big Bucks Press Your Luck Game Show Network biography.
The guy who beat the system.
Right, the guy who figured out the pattern, Michael Larson. He racked up over $100,000 because there were only 6 patterns at the time programmed. And he would watch. He was a guy kind of unemployed, sitting at home, always trying to do this get-rich-quick scheme. He was like the Jackie Gleason or the Ralph Cramden of his neighborhood. And he would just focus on winning or trying to get on game shows, and he cracked the code. He was able to, at whim, pause the tape whenever the money would, whenever the lights would land on dollar amounts. And there were 2 squares that were always dollar amounts. There were never whammies in these 2 squares. So he figured out, based on the patterns, when to stop. And he got on the show. He beat the system, won $100,000, and they never aired the episode on television ever again until 30 years later. But getting to your point, I think ABC is bringing back Press Your Luck as part of their revival, which is why that buzzer channel, that rerun channel, is on the air. It's basically like a testing ground to see how the ratings do on those, classic reruns, to see if there's even like an interest to bring back these game shows. And we see with Match Game, I think they're in their 5th season or something. Match Game, I was watching it last night, and it's funny. They brought back Match Game. They brought back To Tell the Truth. They brought back, all sorts of game shows. But to see Press Your Luck come
Show.
back. Yeah, Gong Show. I mean, the list goes on. But to see Press Your Luck come back, and hopefully based on how the other shows that have been resurrected, they've been pretty faithful. Like Pyramid, for example. That was very faithful to the format of the old Dick Clark show.
How do you improve on perfection?
Shut up, all right? Just don't mock me.
I'm not.
I'll get to mocking you later. I I'm excited for this. I'm almost tempted to audition because they're now holding auditions, which is how I follow this account on Twitter, Buzzer Blog, that basically reports on game show news, and they also report on when game shows are being casted for, like current game shows. So to hear this, I was like, oh yeah, like this is something that might be up my alley. I was on a game show once before Wheel of Fortune. We won't get into that. But with Wheel of Fortune, it was different. The game was the star. The people are just props. Like, you're just there to call out letters and spin the wheel and solve the puzzle. Not really about person.
Boy, did you solve the puzzles.
Yes. But it wasn't. You
would be delighted.
I would be delighted was my bonus puzzle. But you're not heavily reliant on the personalities and the charm and the charisma of the contestants to move the show along.
Who needs your charisma when you have Vanna White?
Seriously. You just said it right there. But there is no Vanna White on Wheel of Press Your Luck. It's all about the energy and the spunk and the razzmatazz.
You got a lot of spunk.
Thank you.
I hate spunk.
Got me again. So, I don't know. I might, I don't know. I'll see if I'll get a haircut and take my photo and throw it up there. I don't know. If they tape, it depends on where they tape, too. If they tape in New York, great. If they tape in L.A., which they might, not so great. But just so you know, nerds out there, if you want to get on pressure, like anybody within the sound of my voice, the two of you, yes, you, yeah, right over there.
Not so much you.
Yeah, not you. Check it out. Maybe you could get on Press Your Luck and then come on the podcast and tell us how it went. I would love to hear how it went if I don't get on myself. But, that remains to be seen. I still haven't worked up the courage to audition for $100,000 Pyramid, which I think I would be okay at. But, anyways, we're getting off track here. No whammies? I say yes whammies. Don't be a care less person.
Be a care more person.
All right, let's move on.
All right, let's move on. Joe, quick
Canada quiz.
6 months later. Let's wake up little Susie. If you ever need some PR and need somebody to beat the shit out of you, you do not have to pay me $3,500. I will say the most anti-Portuguese stuff and throw you a beating for free.
Oh.
However, if you do decide to pay your assailant to beat you up, don't pay by check.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing.
We're talking about
Jussie
Smollett, who was an actor on the TV show Empire, now infamous TV actor, who apparently confessed, maybe not confessed, but they got the goods on him that he was not attacked, as he stated, by two MAGA hat-wearing white guys who called him the F word and said this is MAGA country, and then put a noose around his neck and poured what they thought was bleach on his body, and maybe roughed him up a bit and left him to wallow in his own misery. Apparently not the case. It turned out that the assailants were two extras that had worked on the show Empire that were familiar with Jussie Smollett. So familiar that Jussie Smollett hired these two gentlemen to dress up as assailants wearing MAGA hats to carry a noose and potentially bleach.
No, I don't even know if any of that happened because the guys are black.
Right, they're black. Right,
not a lot of black wearing MAGA, African guys.
Did you see the surveillance video? Them buying the ski mask, and also there was red hats.
And then, so it had started. I guess he sent himself a threatening letter by cutting out like the letters from like magazines and stuff like that.
Yes,
it's like you can't make that up.
No,
and then he didn't get enough sympathy from the show. Like he was hoping, and
that letter alone would be like, well, let's back up a little bit. Now, why would an actor who's getting paid $65,000 an episode on a hit network television show go to such lengths to stage an attack against himself and to try to draw up sympathy for him? Why would he do that?
It's gone back and forth. I heard he was worried he was going to get written out of the show, and then I've also heard that he...
Well, he doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
No, he does not.
But the other thing was that he was satisfied.
Yes, he wanted to get more money from the show per episode.
More money.
More problems.
How'd that work out?
Not very well.
Yeah, he won a Good Morning America shortly after the attack. Cried to Robin Roberts, kind of divulged his thing. And at the time, investigators said that his story was consistent throughout. Every time they investigated and went back to him to follow up on further details, the investigators said that his story was consistent. That does not mean it was true.
He, and it's really a shame because he's an openly gay black person. One of the things that he's been lauded for is the black community isn't really, the homophobia is still more prevalent there than a lot of other places. Not so much the South. I think but I mean, he was a spokesperson. He was an icon. He was beloved and heralded, and the fact that he, had this platform and stuff like that, very outspoken against the president, which of course I applaud him for. I don't want to speak for you, but I think you would applaud him for.
The broken clock is right twice a day. Yeah.
but dude, talk about career suicide.
And also cultural suicide. I mean, the implications of what he did basically gives Trump just more fuel for the fire. More fuel for see, fake news. This is the far left. This is the hysteria that's brewing on the left. They stage these things. It's all fake. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. So thanks for nothing, Jussie Smollett. And by the way, the two gentlemen that Jussie Smollett hired were Nigerian, and he wrote him a check, which basically meant, did he fall for a Nigerian scam, or was he perpetrating this? How does that work? Is that the wrong way? So
he thought he was giving them $3,500 to help secure getting
a lot more
funds back here.
Right. He was expecting, I'll pay them the $3,500. I'll pay these two Nigerians $3,500, and then I'll get a higher salary at the end. It's win-win.
It really.
They get the money. I get the notoriety. They can come in and use the bathroom. I won't bother them. They won't bother me. Oh, forget it.
Couldn't afford this. But of course, so the asshole who sits at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue when he's not in the breakfast, the omelet bar at his
Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago.
You saw that was the best. That was the best.
Yeah, when he's not doing that.
But he's tweeted out about this. The whole fake news hasn't mentioned, and this was because of today's news. It probably won't get any attention at all, but. The two big news stories going into today was that Bernie has officially jumped into the presidential race.
You're welcome.
He's coming back. he will be a guest again.
Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Bernie Sanders.
So what I love is people like my management who are still upset and blame him for Hillary's defeat is upset that he's jumping in. At the same time, he has a right to. And did you see the numbers? Within, 24 hours? Raised $3 million.
No, you're way off.
Okay.
$6 million.
Wow. So he is Bernie Sanders is the
$6 million man. Oh, God.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
Ding, ding,
I had to rewind my reference meter. Back to 1975. When did the $6 million man come out? 76?
That was 76, 77.
Yeah.
That's a spirit.
I actually have the entire DVD set of $6 Million Man given to me by an ex-coworker of mine.
Which all I can say is, of course you do. And I'm glad that you do. Remember when $6 million was a lot of money?
Mm-hmm.
But he jumped back into the race. And it's true. Some of the things that he said, you look at what his platform was 3 years ago and how much people said how far out it was and you couldn't afford it. And now most of the people running for president are running on his same platform. Rumors is he reached out to Beto O'Rourke about being a running mate with him. That'd be an interesting. So, I mean, it's still kind of early. I'm not upset that he's in it. I think I liked his platform. I was a fan of Bernie 10 years before he ran. He used to do a weekly segment on a talk show, Tom Hartman show every week. It was Brunch with Bernie from 11 to noon. On Fridays. So I liked him. So I think it's. But if
I voted for him in the primary.
So there you go.
But I'm a Bernie bro.
But the other thing that's not making a lot of news is a white nationalist, a openly white nationalist.
Is the president of the United States.
And there's also another white nationalist who's a lieutenant in the Coast Guard who was arrested this week in a joint investigation operation from Coast Guard's intelligence and the FBI. He has been stockpiling weapons, and his manifesto stated that he wanted to top the Vegas shooters' numbers for civilian casualties, and he had a hit list of prominent Democrats and media people, and had it all worked out, how to find these people, how to track them down. Have you even heard of this? Because it's barely made the news. Right.
Barely.
But here again, so of course,
But it involves a shooter, so it's kind of blasé at this point.
Right. Last week there was another 5 people shot in a workplace shooting. We're
talking about a would-be shooter. I mean, does that even make a blip on the radar anymore?
Right. But this, but again, here's somebody in the same. It's important. I'm surprised it doesn't get more attention because it was around the same day that, again, the president goes out of his way to say the New York Times is the true, all capitals, the enemy of the people. And you have his supporters stockpiling weapons and making hit lists to go out. First of all, if you're a white supremacist, how are you allowed to still hold a job in public service?
You'd be surprised, my friend.
Yeah, well, sadly, I would.
I mean, honestly, if you're a white nationalist, I mean, how overt was he in his white nationalism? I mean, that's the thing, is that you can be, whatever your belief is and just not be vocal about it and just sort of go about your daily life. He could have been a kick-ass lieutenant.
Yeah, but if you're I do interesting. I do not know. But if you're posting on social media, but it's one of those things. It's like if you're a cop and you're posting, white national stuff on your Facebook page, or you're an EMT, you can't have these jobs. I mean, if you get a phone call that go help somebody, I mean, you can't be trusted.
Was he posting as himself? Or is he just doing it on Zoom? I mean, shocker. Most of my coworkers don't know I have a podcast. So you can lead a double life, which I heard 100% of Americans actually do. Lead double lives.
That was an article once in the Onion.
Yes.
Is that where it's from?
God damn it, you pinpointed the source.
Oh, you went a little heavy on the...
The articulation?
No, the air freshener, the pine cone.
Oh, yeah. You went a little heavy on the pine cone air freshener. You went a little heavy on the pine tree cologne. It's an air freshener. You pinpointed the smell. Step 2 is washing it off. It's my Dan Aykroyd is the break king of Chicago. I forget.
Well, he was great. But
Tommy Boy.
When we do our Tommy Boy podcast.
When we do the Chris Farley, you'll see on the Chris Farley sideshow.
So I had a lot of things to on the list.
Gonna blaze through that.
Yeah. It's the day after California filed an injunction against Blotus for his national emergency. He pulls $1 billion of funding from the high-speed rail system that's been underway. But the big point about this is, yet again, why would you ever make a deal with him? Why would Congress or Senate ever make a deal with him? Because all he does is pull. This wasn't one day that the Senate said, we're going to give California $1 billion to build this high-speed rail. This was years in the making, negotiation. It was already settled years ago. And for him to arbitrarily just come in one day and said, nope, I'm doing away with that. I'm doing away with that. Anyways.
Yeah.
Roger Stone, which got slapped. I was so hoping they were going to throw him in jail. He posted a picture on his Instagram of the judge that is trying his case, saying the fix is in, with a... what do you call it there?
Crosshairs.
The crosshairs in it. And which he tried to say, I thought it was a Gaelic symbol. And even the judge called him out on his bullshit, saying that how come you went on TV the very next day saying you have every right, it's freedom of speech. It's like...
Right. Did he blame Ambien?
He did not blame it. I thought the bitch was white. So the Roger Stone... let's see. Labor's. Oh, well, we'll hold up on Labor Secretary. Well, the South Bend mayor, that's something else. Yeah. We will do Self-Indulgent Theater in a bit. But, Joe?
Yes?
I pledged 2 weeks ago that I was going to not talk about the Patriots for a month.
And you did. And you've held it up wisely and well. So I congratulate you. What do you want, a cookie?
We're 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a little Patriot talk today.
Not necessarily.
It's
Patriot adjacent. Okay.
It
has nothing to do with the game itself.
It does not.
It has nothing to do with the players.
It does not.
It does not have. It really has nothing to bear any significance on the dynamic of the team as a whole.
When
what are we pussyfooting around?
When James White scored the touchdown in overtime to win the Super Bowl against the Falcons after the Patriots were down 28-3 with 2 minutes and 8 seconds left.
But who?
Would you say that was a happy ending?
Yes. Yes, I would. When Malcolm Butler intercepted the pass from the Seahawks at the goal line at the previous Super Bowl, that was quite the happy ending.
It really was. And just a few weeks ago when the Rams missed the field goal with 5 seconds left, which would only make it 13-3, they would and Tom Brady got to take a knee, the last snap of the ball and win his 6th Super Bowl. I thought that was a very happy ending.
I saw smiles.
Yeah, a lot of smiles. Robert Kraft has had a lot of happy endings. Six happy endings, winning Super Bowls.
Uh-huh.
And a couple more down in South Florida.
Why? What happens in Florida? I thought what happened in Florida stays in
Florida. No. See, now, if he was in Vegas, we wouldn't know anything about this.
Right.
Actually, it's true. If this had happened in Vegas, we probably wouldn't know anything about it.
The FBI doesn't investigate illegal sex prostitution rings.
Prostitution's legal. And
no, but I'm talking about illegal prostitution. Because you can still have illegal prostitution. You can still have sex trafficking and not be sanctioned.
You can? What?
We're talking about Robert Kraft today, on Friday, was charged with solicitation in a sex ring thing. I move for a bad court thingy.
He signed a contract that was deemed
unbreakable. Unbreakable. Excuse me for a moment. So Robert Kraft is a perv. Not so much a perv, but like a sleazy perv. Allegedly. Amongst, by the way, he's not alone. Among apparently about 100 other people.
137 with more indictments to come.
You're right. This was part of a months-long or years-long
investigation
into. These were not like just regular like women off the street in America, like girls on hard times or even volunteering. These are massage parlors. Stereotypical Asian massage parlors, I presume. I don't know. Fronts where they have sex workers living there, working there, and being sex slaves. It's real despicable. The worst, right above like child porn. Like this is probably the most heinous sex exploitation you can get. There's this human trafficking.
I mean, in a semi-serious note, because what we're talking about, I am one of those who view willful prostitution as a victimless crime. Absolutely no problem with it all. I don't know why it's not legal in a lot of places. I mean, when you go down the places in the countries that have it, like the deceased rate, I mean, the victims are the sex workers who get abused and can't report it. And we can have a whole show about that, but we won't. But suffice to say, I'm definitely on the side of the fence that, if it's willful, who the fuck cares? Why does it matter? I personally know a few sex workers, like or former sex workers. I know people who have done porn. It's funny because in the mid-'90s, while doing a show of my own that had featured some porn actresses in a comedy thing, I was also working on Touched by an Angel. And I found that the people in porn were who they were. They made no bones about it. Here we are. This is what we do. This is our lifestyle. The people on Touched by an Angel, the writing staff, were 1,000 times more sleazy, worse, conniving, backstabbing, adultery. You go down the list. And it's like I literally found the porn people to almost be refreshing to deal with versus regular LA fucks. So that said, yeah. And here's the thing. It's like, do the people know that this is the situation that these people are in? I mean, is it something where, like, Robert Kraft obviously doesn't live there, isn't there every day? Is it you get to town and you just do Yelp thing to see which massage parlors have like the best rating, and you go in there? Or do you know? And we were talking about this beforehand. Do you not know, or do you not want to know? You know, it's one of those things where I think more people would be vegetarian if they had to prep their own meat. And I don't mean go to DeMuller's or go to Ralph's, get it, bring it home and fry it up. But I mean, if you had to
raise a pig
and butcher it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe you could, maybe you couldn't. Do you you don't want to know how the sausage is made?
No.
It's one of those things. It's crazy when you think about, and I think one of the reportings was, to go in, the session is $79. I don't know if that includes tip or not. You have an empire worth billions of dollars that you now in this kind of jeopardy.
Well, yeah, it really does speak to a very sleazy, underhanded characteristic of his psyche. I mean, he was in a long-term marriage. His wife, died years ago. He's been public with his dating and his kind of quasi-partying, I guess you would say.
Huge party.
Okay, huge party.
With people like Snoop Dogg.
Right. So, I mean, he had that wild side, and it was well known. Now, we also know that he's a Trump supporter, and he's the owner of the New England fucking Patriots, the evil empire to most of the country. Already, 2 strikes against him as far on the unlikability chart. This puts him
4 strikes.
This gives him a hat trick. Oh, why? Owner or MAGA?
Maybe 5 then, because you got, first of all, you got Spygate, then you got Deflategate, now you got Tailgate, but the unlimited, you like that? So that the unlimited, the winning, people.
No, but I'm talking about as far as like, okay, he's the owner of the Patriots. That's one thing that people hate him for. Right. He's a Trump supporter. That's another thing.
Yep.
Now it's like, he's also somebody who's cool with human trafficking. Kind of a don't ask, don't tell policy with the human trafficking. And my guess is that, yeah, he has this probably untouchable mentality where he's so up there in the upper echelon that he doesn't...
Wait. Are you telling me that you think in this country, in the United States of America in 2019, a white billionaire old guy believes he might be above the law? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because yesterday, and we talked about this a little while ago, the labor secretary of the country, while he was attorney general of the state of Florida, there was a billionaire actually running a sex ring, not walking into a massage parlor and getting a rub and a tug. He was actually running a sex ring for him and his buddies. It got busted. This attorney general shut down the investigation, gave the guy like a 6-month sentence. He copped to a deal, gave a 6-month sentence in like a country club prison where for 6 days a week he could be out of the prison for 12 hours a day to go to work at his plush office, and gave complete immunity to everybody else in the sex ring. He was just found guilty of basically committing a crime by making that deal. That was just, yesterday, in Florida.
Is this Acosta?
That's Acosta. But here's the thing. How does the president have time to, write about this actor,
Jussie Smollett.
Jussie Smollett, thank you, and not mention the guy in the Coast Guard arrested for terrorism, and mention the fact that his labor secretary was just found guilty
because it's not on Fox News.
And this is the thing, and not trying to divert attention, but with the Kraft thing, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's almost in a good way for these victims that Kraft is, because it wouldn't be in the news. It would be in the news for 10 minutes, but now it's in the news. Talking to our buddy Taylor on the way here, it's true. This is how I see it going down. And I hope, well, I don't know if I should say I hope it goes down like this. If Kraft is smart, and this is him, you admit guilt. Mm-hmm. You apologize. You keep the money. It all goes away.
According to the TMZ, the initial TMZ report, he was going to be charged with a misdemeanor.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's it. I mean, he has nothing to do with the trafficking into it, all this. But the thing is, like, the Patriots put out statements saying it's a personal matter. We won't be commenting on it. He's saying he's completely innocent. And there was some apologist I heard on sports radio today saying, well, maybe it's somebody who looks like him. But look, if it's him, just get the fucking thing over with. It's embarrassing. Like, it takes away my love of making fun of the Colts because of their owner, Jim Irsay, and his stupidity and some other people who have been in these kind of shenanigans.
I was going to say, we finally got a sleazy owner of a football team in New England. Well, okay, I mean, not finally, but okay.
But it is. It's one of those things. And it's Friday. And
well, to us, it's Friday. To you,
you're in the future.
Yeah.
But we usually the Mueller indictments come down on Friday, and all day one of the reasons I held off to, when I did to send the rundown is there was a lot of talk that it's indictment Friday and who's going to do all these things. And then just sitting there, I finally, sent it. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is awful. The memes right away. It was, at least 20 people 20 friends and family members felt I might not have heard the news and either caught my phone blew up instantly, people letting me know. And of course, my Colt friends and my Steeler friends, they were the first to let me know about this.
Oh, how kind of them.
But then honestly, it will cycle out of the news. No matter how bad the news cycle is, if it's not 24 hours, it's probably 48. And if it goes beyond, if you can get through 72 hours, it goes away.
It do.
Just, go down there, cop a plea, plead no contest, get your community service, pay a huge ass fine.
And luckily it happened at the very beginning of the off season.
Right.
There's lots of time to forget. Oh, well, I'm sure they'll be reminded in August.
I mean, and people look, every time he goes into a stadium, there's going to be signs. People are going to make fun of it. You got to live with it, dude. It is what it is. But don't fight it. Just, admit guilt, apologize, keep the money.
You think Roger Goodell popped a champagne cork?
Oh, maybe a little bit. But it wasn't. And talk about cycling out of the news. It was within, I want to say it was in an hour. If it wasn't within an hour, it was within 2 hours. So yesterday, it was Labor Secretary Costa. He gets found, for his deeds. Kraft early this afternoon. And within an hour, R. Kelly.
Indicted on sexual assault charges. Yeah, 10 indictments.
From 6 different victims ranging from age 13 to 16.
I don't know how I fell into it, but the other day I was watching old Chappelle show clips on Comedy Central. They have like all the uncensored bits from his Chappelle show on their website. And I got to the R. Kelly, I Want to Piss on You music video. I forgot how I didn't forget. I haven't appreciated how fucking funny that show was and how he was on that show. And just like but that I Want to Piss on You video is just like the words were coming back to me as I was watching it because it was just like, it was so powerful. Then, this was like 2003, I want to piss on you, drip, drip, drip.
I mean, in here, so the Kraft thing is awful. As a patriot, devotee, it absolutely sucks. Because, he's a fun guy. He's partying. He has a big presence here in Massachusetts. He does a lot of charity things. Maybe that's
the kind of guilt that builds hospitals.
Children's hospitals. Yeah, but it's awful,
Yeah.
Between that and Peter Tork dying, I mean, it's been a rough.
Hey, you know what? Paul Rubens had his run-ins with Scandal, and he came out unscathed 20 years later. But, give it time. This too shall pass. And the way that, like you said, the news cycle moves so fast, we won't even remember who Robert Kraft is in a week.
We will.
Okay.
And all the football people will keep reminding us. So let's shake it up a little bit. Instead of going into sport after the break, there's no sports. The Bruins have won 6 in a row, point in the last 11 games, so 7 in a row. They're doing great. Made a minor trade the other day. I don't I don't think we have to get the Ducks boat ready for another parade in June, but maybe they get to the conference final this year. But on this happy note, let's go to the Funk Sponsor of the Week and then come back with the gold.
Okay.
All right. Why'd you do it?
I just dig Kellogg's Rice Krispies with those crisp morsels that go snap, crackle, and pop. And
Quiet. Where were you at 10 p.m., December 3rd, 1956?
I was at the Central High basketball game with Shirley.
All right, relieve him of his Rice Krispies and take him to the cooler.
What for?
For some milk. I want to hear the snap, crackle, and pop.
So now, as I said, having a rough week, not being able to skate this week, the passing of a childhood idol, the Robert Kraft non-Super Bowl happy ending. I'm so delighted to get to my favorite part of the week, which is the Self-Indulgent Theater. Where it has become, undoubtedly, you can't deny it, a fan favorite.
Literal fan.
Fan. And I do, I've gotten a lot of great feedback. John Hunt very much liked your asshole neighbor.
Our friend Richard on Facebook said, I laughed out loud at the Adam Sandler singing Jump.
And all seriousness, now when we say ideas for sideshows, ideas for bits, ideas, we actually got a request for you to do.
From Richard. Don Knotts. So Jacques thought it would be appropriate, in honor of the passing of Peter Tork of the Monkees, that perhaps Don Knotts could take a stab at singing a Monkees classic. So I went through the archives and I drummed up this little ditty by the Monkees called Daydream Believer. And so now, for your listening pleasure, here's Daydream Believer as sung by what might pass as Don Knotts. Enjoy. Oh, I could hide neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and I rise, wipe the sleep out of my eyes. Be shaving razors cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer? And Jack, you'll like this homecoming queen. You once thought of me as a white knight on his steed. Now you know how happy I can be. You gotta nip it in the bud. Oh, and our good time starting and without $1 to spend. But how much, baby, do we really need, Andy? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. No, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen? These hands are lethal weapons.
Oh, I tell you, another, you are the man of 7 voices.
I'll take it.
And what I love most about it is when you throw in the little bits of personality, throwing a little name checking of Andy in there.
Oh, you got it in for Jack. And oh, yeah. My favorite Don Knotts thing of all time is the old bit by Dana Gould about how conspicuous a voice that he could never make a
prank phone call.
He could never make prank phone calls. Yeah. Hello. I can see you through your bedroom window. Is this Don Knotts?
Favorite Don Knotts vehicle?
Well, I don't want to say The Incredible Mr. Limpet, but maybe. I only saw that maybe once, but obviously for me,
Yes.
Three's Company.
There's no close second.
No, Ralph Furley.
I mean, as a kid watching Andy Griffin on reruns, Incredible Mr. Limpet, how many cartoon characters has he done that we've loved? You know,
I don't know how many.
Oh no, he like tons of them.
Okay.
But yeah, he will always. It always starts and stops with Mr. Furley for me.
Right. Yeah. God bless Don Knotts. He will be missed, as will Peter Tork, as will most of our listeners after that bit.
So now we move into the other moment of spotlight for Joe. Before we get to the random video game, anything going on video game wise in the old abode?
Well, my younger son is banned from video games this week because he did something naughty.
On vacation week?
Yeah. Yes, we are evil sons
No,
of bitches.
you have to.
Yeah, but he's watching YouTube. Whatever. We just know video.
And Bones.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, whether he likes it or not, it's like church around here. But for me, as far as video games go, I am way into Tetris 99 on the Switch.
Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't get a lot of cardio, but the heart beating that I'm getting from playing, I'm getting very close. So if you don't know what Tetris 99 is, it's a new online battle royale version of Tetris where on the Switch only, and if you have the Switch and the Nintendo Online subscription, it's free to download. You play Tetris competitively against 99 or 98 other online players. And there's attack mode. So as you're trying to just play Tetris, you're also getting junk lines stacked, stacked on your stack by other players. And then you can also make if you clear lines, you can send junk to other players. Long story short, it gets hot and heavy, and there can be only one winner.
Everybody knows there can be only one.
I know. So I've placed second a couple of times. Always a bridesmaid.
First loser.
Yes, I'm first loser at least 3 times. And my younger son was actually witness to this. And it was close. Like, you can see the actual live feed of the other players. Like, you can see how their stacks are looking compared to yours. I had this guy on the ropes. Like, he was about ready to die. And then I just fucked up, because I wasn't generating enough lines on my own to throw to him and send him over.
Say
there.
This is my sale. I killed it!
Oh! That's where I blow it. Okay, so Jacques just put down his, he's storming off. He's put down he can't storm off. He's limping. He's limping off. But that's me with Tetris 99. It's a fun game. Please, I implore you, if you have no life, or if you just like to stress yourself out for no reason whatsoever, or if you're just good at Tetris, get this game and play it. And it just it reinvents Tetris. So Jacques has pulled a game off of the shelf of Nintendo games, and it looks like he pulled off a game that I don't know if is it Batman?
It is.
Yeah, it's Batman. All right. Thank you for salivating it.
Do you want to work or not?
I do. I love Batman, the video game. I mean, Jacques loves Batman. But the video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System that came out in 1990, right after the movie in 89, is fantastic. It's based on the movie. It's, if we all remember 1989, the biggest movie of the year arguably was Batman. It was a phenomenon. Not a particularly great movie in retrospect. A very good movie as far as Batman movies go. But the game itself for the Nintendo was great because it was one of those platforming games where, you're jumping around as Batman and you have to defeat thugs and weird enemies. But it kind of follows the storyline of the movie. Every time you go from one scene to the next, they show little cut scenes that animate portions of the movie pretty faithfully. And you're in pursuit of the Joker. It has a very memorable Nintendo soundtrack. The controls are pretty tight. You can wall jump, cling to walls and just jump back and forth in tight spaces. You can not only punch, you can throw your batarang. you can throw this sort of like triple ninja star thing, and you can also fire a gun. Yes, Batman fires a gun, but it's like a rocket bullet gun. It's not like a gun that like kills. It's one of those I mean, granted, every enemy you defeat explodes. So maybe Batman kills in this version of Batman, but we'll overlook that. It's a video game. It is difficult. It's but it's not unforgiving. It gives you multiple unlimited continues, so you can sit down for hours and hours and hours and keep trying and trying and trying until you finally get it right. But this was a very good game. It was very dark, just like the Tim Burton movie. It complemented the whole Batman phenomenon very well. So highly rated in my book. What does Pat Contry say in his stupid book? He probably gives it 4 stars, and he did. So let me read a little passage from Ultimate Nintendo, the Guide to the NES Library by Pat Contry on Batman for the NES. Coming on the heels of the blockbuster Tim Burton Batman film, this action platformer stands out as a rare example of an entertaining movie-licensed game. The player has access to a basic punch attack as well as 3 ammo-reliant weapons. So basically what I said, only better. And so I own it, and it's cool, and I played it, and I've beaten it a couple of times. I also have Batman Return of the Joker, the follow-up. And
that only got 3 stars in the book.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good as well, but it's not as action-packed or exciting as the original Batman game.
I'm here, scroll through. I'm not sure if I'm finding it right, but while you're looking to see,
okay.
Do you have the movie here?
I have it on Laserdisc.
Yes, you do have it on Laserdisc. So
we watched it.
We did. That's how I know.
Yeah, and it was in poor condition. I mean, there was a lot of artifacts on the screen, a lot of disc rot, as it were. NES Batman. NES Batman. It goes for $7.99, I guess. Yeah, I mean So I guess Batman video game at the top there. It's $7.99. So all right, so it's $8. And but it's great. It's a classic in my opinion. So
now disc looks like it's in good condition too.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. I give it a 75. It's got a beat I can dance to it. Well, what else is up? What are you watching on the TV there when you're not crying yourself to sleep or being scared out of your ass from Resident Evil 2?
Resident Evil 2 is great.
I know. I really should. I should probably play it.
It is. It talk about like stress inducing. There is, at one point of a game, somebody starts chasing you. And they don't move slow, but they don't move fast, but they're not. You have your regular zombies who keep trying to grab you and get you from different ways. And then zombie dogs, which is a staple in the Resident Evil world. Mm-hmm. But this figure, you're an average guy, and this figure's probably like 7 feet tall or like 6'8", and has like boots that clank, and you can hear him chasing you through a mansion. Sometimes he's a floor over you, sometimes it's under you, sometimes you have to hide and kind of just wait for him to go search another part. But as you're running and you just hear the clanking coming behind you, or
that's when you wish you had surround sound.
No, those are one of the games where there's no way, if you ever break down and get the VR
version, yeah,
and I come over, there's no way I can play any of these games without wearing it. Depends.
Right. I might have to set up the PS4 in the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. So that's. But we started as a family watching on Netflix a series called The Umbrella Academy.
Oh, what's that? Is it Resident Evil, The Umbrella Corporation Academy?
It's funny, right? It's a story where around the world one day, like 24 years ago, 47 or 49 women gave birth at exactly the same time who weren't pregnant at the start of the day. Like all of a sudden just, became, and this rich billionaire guy flew around the world trying to collect as many of them. You don't know why yet. He collected 7 of them, 6 of which, and he raised them. Didn't give them names, just gave them numbers. raised them because they all had some kind of power, so they're kind of superhero-ish, but one of them doesn't. And the one that doesn't is, and this is the amazing thing about Netflix, Ellen Page is like the lead character, like a real big actress.
Yeah.
And everybody else, like not everybody else, but there's a few other people in it that you know by sight, you know.
Yeah, like, oh, that person. I've seen her before.
And it's good. You know, there's only season 1. We're halfway through season 1. The characters are very interesting. So they're kind of a family, but they're kind of not a family. You know, there was all kinds of turmoil.
It's almost like the X-Men Academy kind of.
Yeah. And this is about so they're all early 20s, mid 20s, maybe late 20s, and in their late teens, they all went their own way pretty much, and for one reason or another. And, you know, they get word that they all have to come back for something. And it's like, yeah, they like each other, but they don't like each other. They don't, so it's interesting.
It's a love-hate thing kind of thing.
It's a family thing.
Right. Right, exactly.
Are they any more or less family? So
they're just like us.
So, by next week, hopefully we will have watched, the whole thing.
Great. Yeah.
We'll see. But what about you?
Well, my wife and older son have been out a lot nights this week because they're rehearsing for a play that they're doing at the school where my wife teaches. But my younger son, and I have kind of, he does his thing. I do Tetris 99. He's been watching me play Tetris 99, so that's the biggest thing. But TV-wise, I've been getting back into the Orville. I've been trying to catch up with it on Hulu. So I'm almost through season 1, I think.
I really should watch it, shouldn't I?
It's actually a good show. Like, it's the first season, you can see where they're trying to crowbar in the jokes, but there really are very good, decent, and sometimes very good storylines that go with it. One episode was a little a little like off-brand, if it were, if you will. But for the most part, I'm getting into the characters. It's a good sci-fi show. I don't have CBS All Access, so I do have access somehow to the Star Trek Discovery series, which I probably should be watching, but I'm not that big a Star Trek fan. I am a big Seth MacFarlane fan, so I'm more apt to watch The Orville, and Scott Grimes is in it. I mean,
what?
Yes. Our friend Scott. I'm gonna make him my friend
of the
too.
show.
Yeah, friend of
You've
the
met
show.
him, right?
Maybe. Yeah, I think I have once when you were doing hockey.
He was at the starter wedding.
Oh, right. Yes, I have. I have met him. So, I'm sure he remembers me. Hey, Scott. I'm sure he's listening. Hey, Scott. And if he's not...
you see, I give him a lot of shit on Twitter.
Yeah, and I see he does not respond.
Oh, he does sometimes.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen it, but I'll believe you. Like Jussie Smollett, I'll believe you.
I swear, I'm going to put a rope around that Portuguese neck of yours, and I pour bleach on you, but you're Portuguese. I'll just pour soap on you. That's like bleach to other people. See what I did there? Now pay me $3,500. I take a check.
Good one. All right. Well, that's all.
Paid by a check.
Yeah, he didn't have the decency to write a money order. All right. Well, I think that's all for today, except for, of course, this week's vacation parenting tip. This is vacation week. What's your parenting tip for those with kids? My nephew and his family have gone away to Disney World. So they had a nice Disney vacation. They're on a nice Disney vacation. I've not gone on a nice Disney vacation. I've not taken my family on a great vacation since 2013 when we went to Ireland, and even that wasn't a great vacation because I'm an asshole. That's a whole side show.
Did it rain?
No, it did not. Well, a little bit, but that wasn't. It rained. It did rain, and it was me. I was the cloud, and they were the parade, and I rained on it. But we won't get into that. But what do you have to tell the fine folks that are having to deal with their little snot-nosed punk brats during this vacation week? And it's vacation week only really in Massachusetts, right?
No, I think, I don't know.
Yeah, who cares?
No, everybody has a February vacation.
Okay.
Very simple. You don't have to do a lot of shit. Christmas was 6 weeks ago. They got a bunch of new shit. It's not the end of the world if you don't have to be Julie McCoy all the time. Sometimes You can have a staycation. You know, like I said, literally 6 weeks ago was Christmas. Does it seem like it was 6 weeks ago?
It seems like 6 years.
7 weeks.
I'm on Twitter a lot, so it seems like 6 years ago.
So it's Christmas, and they got a bunch of new shit just for Christmas. You just spent all this money just 6-7 weeks ago. We are lucky enough to have a house with a pool that we will be spending $1,000 opening up in about 6-7 weeks from now. You know, it's more than okay to just lay low and just
Enjoy the things that you got for Christmas.
Yeah.
And then enjoy each other's company, you know?
Well, at least the things you got for Christmas.
But that's nice. Yeah, I mean, we've trust me, we're not unfamiliar with the staycation around these parts. But it's not fun. It's not funny or fun.
It is.
I have a sad life. All right.
The boys aren't complaining because they only get their video games Friday night and Saturdays during the week. So this is a huge treat for them to be able to get them during the week.
Yeah.
You know, so there you go. That's my parenting tip. Save
Yeah.
money. Let them play with the toys they already fucking have.
That's right. Desires only lead to more desires.
And then you wind up in a massage parlor in Florida.
Oh, man.
I gotta handle
We'll live that down as Patriot fans. I'm sure that'll just blow right over.
Right over. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
just another grain of sand in the beach.
Another Aaron Hernandez.
Oh, man. Speaking of nooses. All right, well, we're done. Can we end on some sort of a happy note? Can I, go out as Don Knotts or something? You want me to recite something as Don Knotts one last time or anything?
Don't forget.
Oh, okay. Jacques, for the love of God, don't forget.
She knows her mind all right, your Auntie Griselda. She says she knows my kind, she might maybe so. Oh yeah, she's raised you right, your Auntie Griselda. You only know the things she wants you to know. I know she's having a fit. She doesn't like me a bit. No bird of grace ever lit on Auntie Griselda.
Skrum, 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 dum, 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 skrum, dum, dum.